And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 113. Lucky number 113. Well, we have the new setup here and the trying something new out. And this is just a small coat closet here that I've set up my entire life and studio and art studio and tax studio. That will be later today in. And hope you like it. So we have this nice fancy screen with the Janky website in the background. Of course, the artwork with the Miss Monet and the Ford Aerostar. And we are, of course, here to talk about Ford Aerostars. Real quick, I have to show you something that, we're always talking about the Ford Aerostar's sort of place in the cultural milieu, as it were. And I was at the hardware store the other day and they had this little interstate highway bingo. I thought that was cute, so you got the little things, the free spot, and you get these little red sliders, and, when you see the certain thing, there's train and cola sign and barn and bus, and you slide the thing up and you try to get bingo. Now, look at what the icon is for van. Hopefully the camera picks that up. If not, I will put a little screen grab in there, but it's an Aerostar. So I thought that was cool, and the sports car is like what looks to be a C3 Corvette. So I thought those paired nicely together. I thought that was really cool, the Aerostar sort of making its place known within the cultural milieu. Now, what would be really funny is if you had interstate highway bingo and every icon was just an Aerostar, because that's the game I play. Anyways, neither here nor there. I suppose we'll introduce the van today, and then we'll do a little sort of backstory and context and talk about generally more things. So, without further ado, here we have a 1993 Ford Aerostar passenger minivan, listed for just $1,000 in Greenville, Tennessee. Greenville, Tennessee, that's a very nice name. It sounds like a very nice place. And as you can see, we have what looks to be a very sunny backdrop here for this wonderfully janky Ford Aerostar. Now, real quick, I have to say thank you to everybody who's watched the videos I've been putting out lately. Getting that Aerostar Cybertruck video out was a real labor of love. So happy that's been out, and people have been watching it and commenting. So thank you very much. I hope that video stands in posterity as a emblem of just how innovative and ahead of its time and still relevant, really, the idea and the concept and, the execution of the Ford Aerostar was. In episode 112 of Year of the Aerostar, we did this really amazing lowrider, glistening paint, wire wheels, white wall tires, crazy suspension, stereo, like a really immaculate, sort of amazing Aerostar. All Aerostars are amazing, but this one was, particularly noteworthy. Now today, I wanted to sort of go in the opposite direction. Still noteworthy, but maybe for different reasons. So I like, a real janky, sort of beat up, rode hard, put away wet Aerostar. My favorite episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is, of course, the episode with Norm Macdonald. One, because I really like Norm Macdonald, but two, because of the car. It's this old Porsche, I think it's a 356 or something. I've mentioned this before, but it just is a survivor. It's, as the host, Seinfeld, says, it was never particularly well taken care of, and yet it just kept on going, much like the guest Norm Macdonald, which is, a fairly fawning tribute and accurate. So today, I like this Aerostar. This is would be like a Norm Macdonald of Aerostars, and the description sort of corroborates that. But as you can see, obviously, it's been spray painted black like 50 or 60 times, it looks like, from the pictures. And actually, we have a video in this one. We'll go quickly through the pictures that we have, and we'll look at the video. But first, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's read the description. So, about this vehicle. 144,000 miles, so really not even that high. I mean, my green Sport 93 Aerostar has 119,000 on it, and while it has some body issues going on, it looks quite a bit cleaner than this. Automatic transmission, exterior color, black, interior color, no answer given. 17 mpg city, 23 highway, 19 combined. Okay, seller's description. 1993 Ford Aerostar van. Don't judge a book by the cover. She's ugly, but runs like a top. She's my daily driver. Wow, look at that. Has clean title, 1500 or best offer. You know, again, I would never use the word ugly to describe an Aerostar. Some people, you could put a brand new, you know, there was another just dark green, maybe I can find a screen grab of it on Instagram, this reel. There was this green over, I think it was green over gold, you know, like the quintessential sort of late 90s Aerostar color scheme. Just immaculate, like I think less than 50,000 miles, like garage kept, just pristine. And a lot of people would call that vehicle ugly. So this one, you know, even the owner or the driver of this vehicle is calling it ugly. And I get why most people would consider this ugly. However, I think because of the profile and the shape of the Aerostar, now, you can certainly call it janky, you know, but I wouldn't call it ugly. But again, you know, we're splitting hairs here. I get why, you know, she's just making a point with the first part of that sentence, which is don't judge a book by its cover. And, you know, don't judge an Aerostar by its paint job. So it's a 93. I am on a quest, you know, whether it's serious or not, or whether it's achievable or not. I would love to own an Aerostar from every year. Luckily, I already have a 93, and that makes getting, you know, going down to Tennessee and trying to grab this Aerostar a little less high priority than it may otherwise be, because I would love to have something like this in my fleet. You know, one day I would love to have an Aerostar museum, and I would love to have like a cream puff, perfect, immaculate Aerostar. I would also like to have something like this, just completely untouched, leave it as is, fix the mechanicals, drive it around, use it, but, you know, show that, you know, exactly what she's saying. It's still a daily driver car in the year of our Lord 2024, you know, over 20 years old. Let's see, 93, 2003, 2003, over 30 years old. I have to count it by tens in my head. And it's a daily driver, you know, right now. So I think that's just amazing. And with that, we should probably view the video of it, and maybe the sound will come through, we'll see. So as you can see there, oh, there we go. Maybe the sound will get picked up in my microphone. We'll watch it a couple times. So you can see just sort of, you know, country road somewhere in rural Tennessee, looks like. And we'll watch that again. It's only an 18-second clip here as my computer overheats. You know, the MacBook Air from 2018. Okay, so what's funny about this video, a couple things. I mean, you know, it demonstrates that the vehicle is indeed on the road. It sounds like it has a little bit of an exhaust leak, which mine does too. Not out of the ordinary. Maybe we'll watch it one more time. She needs to put some gas in the vehicle. You know, the current is good. But what's funny here is the three things. I mean, the speedometer is shown very briefly. It's going about 40 miles an hour. So, you know, at least it's not like 15 miles an hour. It can hold its own. It can drive on a country road at 40 miles an hour. What's funny though is that what you don't see is, well, and the other thing I was going to say is the airbag light is blinking. My 93 Sport does that too, and then you'll get 5 tones 5 times, if anyone knows it. I think I've looked it up before. If you know off the top of your head what that exactly, some sort of module or airbag module or something, but the airbag light blinks. That's very normal. Mine does that. It's never affected it. But what we don't see is your oil pressure and your temperature, and those are probably the 2 most important gauges. The gas and the, you know, battery level, much less so important. You know, you want them to be working. So that's funny. So, I mean, in theory, the vehicle could be like overheating and the oil pressure could be, you know, totally out of whack, but it's going down the road. And, you know, for $1,000, what do you really expect in this day and age? But I just thought that was funny. But, you know, I appreciate that there's a video in there at all. So it looks like we have the all gray interior. I do wonder what the color of this vehicle was to begin with, and I have a feeling it may actually have been black. Now, I just missed, I mean, the Aerostars have been going crazy. I can't keep up. And that's the other funny thing is, like, you know, people talk about how rare the Aerostar is and how, I think that you have to look at it in context because it's relative to, there was a time when Aerostars were ubiquitous all the time on Instagram, and I have people messaging me, I find them myself. movies, television from the sort of late 80s to mid 90s, late 90s. You can't watch a movie without seeing an Aerostar in it. It's crazy. I watched a clip of it. It was just like, oh, random New York City street footage from 1998. It was like driving through Manhattan. I clicked on the video. Within 3 seconds, they drove by an Aerostar parked on the street. Like, they were everywhere. And so I think that now it's like, oh, they're so rare. And they are somewhat rare, but that's only because they were so ubiquitous. So now they feel relatively rare, but also, like I made the point in the Cybertruck video, I see Aerostars out in the wild more often than I see first-gen Windstars, which were, came 10 years after the Aerostar, more than 10 years after the Aerostar debuted. So I think there's still a lot of them out there, and now I'm seeing them come up on Marketplace so fast, and that's only within my little local radius. I'm only looking like within 500 miles of where I live. I'm not even looking on the West Coast where cars last a lot longer. Mexico. So I can't even keep up with the amount of Aerostars that are up for sale. So to me, that's a really good sign. If I had to like search all around to find one, they're just constantly popping up, and I can't even get them in time. The point I was going to make was that there was a black over silver four-wheel drive Aerostar that came up in Grizzly Garage. We've done videos on Grizzly Garage before. Maybe I'll try to throw one in here. And that may still be for sale, but it's off of Marketplace, which is weird. But the Instagram post is obviously there, but I think they keep all those posts up even after they sell them. So that might have sold like within a couple of days. A beautiful gold one came up that was like priced right, didn't have a lot of rust on it, just a gold shorty, gold over gold. I love gold on the Aerostars though. That went up within a couple of days, it was gone. There was an extended length cargo in Ohio. That was a couple days. Like, these things go like hotcakes, and it's crazy because the market's out there. Now, I myself really want to get, and I have to, my broke YouTuber car series that I'm doing, I have to sell some cars this year. It's just been crazy. But, I told myself if I sell 2 cars, I can buy 1 because then it's still a net negative, right? So I really want a 4-wheel drive extended Aerostar. That to me is like the next piece. And this was that, so it got me really excited. But that's gone. All I'm saying is black Aerostars are very rare as a factory color, but I think this may have actually been, and there's another, it's funny, there's another spray rattle-can painted, maybe I'll do that one after this one, rattle-can black Aerostar up for sale. So it's funny how they come in little clusters, like 3 black Aerostars all in my radius for sale right now. It's probably the most I've ever seen, but it is a rare color. I think they only made it in the later sort of years of the Aerostar, and even then I don't think it was optioned that often, which is strange. Maybe, back in the day, maybe now I feel like black, gray, white, dark blue is like, it's like basically like the Tesla colors, those colors. There's so many SUVs and larger vehicles in that color, and it's for good reason. Like, black is an excellent color on cars. Aside from the fact that apparently it's harder to keep them clean. Ironically, you would think white is harder to keep clean, but whatever. I'm not a materials scientist or color physicist or something like that. Suffice it to say, I haven't talked about Aerostars in a while, so forgive me for, I'm very excited. I think this may indeed be a factory black Aerostar because the door jambs and all that are all black. And you would think on a rattle-can job of this nature, they probably wouldn't take the time to paint all of those things black. So it seems like it could actually indeed be a factory black Aerostar. Now, some jank to point out, obviously the whole rear bumper cover is missing, and you really notice it on the long ones because it's funny how much of the body the bumper covers up. Like, they saved a lot of money at not putting them, it's like a 4 square feet of sheet metal they saved by not putting that bumper there. You have one wheel here, which is the older style wheel, which I really like. These, I think, are the ones that will accept the dog dish hubcaps, which I think is a great look. Up here, you have also an early style hubcap, but I wonder if this hubcap goes on these wheels. I wonder if that pops on, because I thought these were only for the dog dish, and these were an early sort of Aerostar hubcap, which I gotta be honest, I'm not super fond of. I would not, these are probably my least favorite Aerostar hubcaps. However, neither here nor there. It's just funny, anytime something's mismatched, it's like, of course it's mismatched on this vehicle. Like, if you had 2 matching wheels, it just wouldn't make sense on this vehicle. So I like that. The back is crazy because, one, you know, it's funny how they seem to spray paint over everything, but somehow they actually, maybe they put the Ford logo on, or they actually bothered to tape it off, which is kind of hilarious. And the other thing is, you can just see how, I mean, these runs here, like, look at these just grooves. Like, I think this is just paint buildup, just like coats and coats of paint buildup. You have your dealer badge and then your Aerostar, which has been just completely painted over. It's funny that they bothered with the Ford logo but not with the Aerostar badge. You know, you can see when you get this sort of like glistening like buildup and like runs, and I mean it's just slopped all over with paint. I mean, like painted with a mop basically. And I'm not criticizing anyone. Like, if it's just functional, you know, you're just trying to get some paint on it. I'm not critiquing someone's paint job, but all the gouges and gashes in here, like the texture buildup on these surfaces, it's like an apartment in New York City that's been painted with white semi-gloss paint like 60 times, and now the you know, the door jambs and the woodwork are, you know, 1/8 or 1/4 inch thicker than they originally were, just because all that enamel paint buildup. That's kind of what you got going on here. Rear wiper's still intact. That's great. Looks like it does have a tow hitch, even though there's no semblance of a bumper cover whatsoever. But of course, that's just a little plastic piece anyway. So, you know, I'd rather have a tow hitch than a bumper, I guess, because it's more functional that way. And then this is a funny picture because it's just funny what people like. So they have 1 video and 3 photos. You only have 3 photos to document this vehicle that you're selling. One of those 3 photos is you're going to take a picture of the rear auxiliary system with your speaker, your headphone ports for the radio. I mean, rear climate control, which is again pretty amazing. And then I guess you're showing that the rear 12-volt plug works, which again is also very nice feature, ahead of its time. And then a little ashtray, which is not ahead of its time, it's very of its time. If you ever went to a Pizza Hut in the 90s and were asked to sit in the smoking or no smoking section, and the difference between those two sections, the partition between those two sections, was a plaid curtain. So I do love the all gray interior on a black Aerostar. I think that's a great combination, but it's just funny, like there's no picture of the headliner or of the steering wheel or the gauge cluster, or I don't know, like just the back of the vehicle to show what's back there. Another vehicle, the shot of the front of the vehicle. We don't even have an idea if the front bumper is intact or not. But let's show the rear climate controls, and it's just, I mean, again, I'm appreciative that they're there, and I think it's a very noteworthy feature of the Aerostar. It's just funny, if I was selling this vehicle, it's maybe, and I only had 3 pictures to document it, maybe not what I would show in one of the pictures. But, you know, again, no judgment. I just find it kind of amusing. So there you have it, a beautiful Janky. I like how the Facebook has the Kelley Blue Book plugin right now, and this it says it's anywhere from $852 to $2,165. Boy, if you're paying $2,000 for this Aerostar, God bless you, but I think you can find better for less money. Although with inflation and everything, you know, I always hear some things about used car prices going down. I don't know, the Aerostars I feel like are actually climbing in value. I'm seeing a lot of Aerostars out there, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, where 2 or 3 years ago I feel like you could get those, like, you know, around the $1,500 to $2,000 dollar range. Of course, there's always deals out there. But generally, these are even for rear-wheel drive models too, that still have their, you know, issues or their higher mileage or whatever. Which I'm not saying the price isn't justified. I'm just, you know, noting that the prices are starting to rise just ever so slightly. So if you want to get an Aerostar, there's never been a better time. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for watching generally. I'm really sort of proud of the videos that we've been making, and also very happy and appreciative of the responses that they've been getting. It's really sort of given me a nice kick in the tuchus, and I think 2024 is going to be a great year for Janky AF, and of course a great year for the Ford Aerostar. So we end that with that sentiment on this episode of Year of the Aerostar here on Janky AF. We will have another one for you very soon, and until then, Janky do thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.